Every job I've ever had has been, working with people, whether it be, like I said, working at the prison, working with people with some different attitudes, working with kids and their parents. I think you have to understand, people's, personalities, being able to adjust to different people's personalities. So getting into coaching, having zero background in that, but understanding that I always done really well being with people, being able to relate to them and just listen to them. So when I got into coaching, that first year or so, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Mm-hmm. But I think what kept me going was that I was just able to talk to people. I've always had a passion for fitness, playing sports growing up. And so I could relate on that level. I could relate to what it took to, be healthy, what it took to, work out and things like that. So I think that definitely helped me along the way. The burnt out, going back to the question, it does happen because you have people, all different personalities. And I know, John, you know this too. When you have a group class, everybody's different. Yeah. Everybody has different needs, and sometimes they may have had a bad day at work. And so they're coming in maybe with a different attitude, not necessarily about the workout. They might look at the workout and be mad about that because something else in their day made them mad. And so you just have to, give your all and, just kind of sympathize with them sometimes and, let them know what's happening and, get to know them sometimes, especially in this field. It's not just a, come in, do your thing, get out of here. We're vested in every one of our members, because it's a small knit community. And when they come in, you talk to them about their lives. They talk to you about it. And so you take that all in every once in a while and you do that day after day after day. It's natural, I think, to get burnt out.
Yes.
When people say burnt out, there's sometimes a negative vibe to it, but I think it's human nature. I mean, you can only take so much where you yourself need a break. I know I do. And just having some people in your corner that can maybe see some signs, I'm usually pretty upbeat, always ready to go. And, when they come up to you and say, you just weren't you.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes it's hard. You're like, what do you mean it's not me? And it's like, this is me all the time. And they're like, no, there's something not right with you right now. Are you okay? And then you take a step back and you're like, you know what? They were right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just, I guess, kind of trying to recharge somehow, remind yourself of, for me, what I always do is remind myself why I did this.
Yeah.
And remind myself how fortunate I am to do this. Yeah. Because I could be sitting back at my desk again.
Yeah.
And always be saying, man, I wish I was doing something else. So I think sometimes, too, to help other coaches out there who are listening is remind yourself why you got into this, and just keep trying to get better, and just getting burnt out is okay. As long as it doesn't continue, but it's okay to have those feelings.
Yeah.
And just make sure you have good people around you to kind of help you out when you get burnt out and maybe fill in for a little bit. Just get away and recharge.
Yeah. So. I think that's key, is being able to get away and recharge. And I think sometimes when you're not in a position that you can do that, sometimes, especially for like head coaches, it's kind of like a lot of the burden's on your shoulders,
Yeah. I mean, so being a head coach and an owner, I've always, I feel like it's my job to be there.
Yeah.
And I know that that is part of the job, but sometimes I have to let myself know that, there's other people who can handle it for a little while I'm gone and let them do that. Yeah. I'm kind of like a hands-on type of person. I need to be there, maybe a little OCD-ish sometimes, and I want to make sure everything's going the way it should. But
do you align the boxes when people are sitting on their boxes?
I do a lot of things. I have this thing with plates too. Got to make sure they're all stacked up. I mean, I got my little tendencies, but it's when you leave for a few days and you come back and everything's still the same, you have to remember that.
Yeah.
So that's been something I've done the last couple of years. Go on a vacation or just leave for a few days. You come back and you're like, oh, this place hasn't burnt down.
Yeah.
It's
going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
So then you try to, you use that and say, maybe I should take another break.
Yeah.
It worked out. The place is still there. So.
And I think that's important to recognize that. And kind of like you said, it's good to have people in your corner that can tell you, like, hey, what's going on? Be
what
like,
do you mean?
And, people that you're a great athlete too, and we're going to get to that here in a little bit, but people who are usually very athletic or, are very type A driven people. Mm-hmm. And so we don't think we need a break. It's like,
no, you don't.
I can handle it. I'm doing fine. What's the big deal? And people are like, well, we know you can handle it, but you really should take some time off.
It's very true.
And I'm appreciative to the people in my corner, my family, my close friends, and the owner of this gym, Bolin. He's done a great job of making sure I get regular time off to make sure that situation is, either prevented or it's a lot smaller of a situation than it could have been, where you get really burnt out.
It is true, and I would definitely be interested to people who are listening as, what they feel like about that too. Sometimes there's a lot of guilt that you feel. Mm. you know, being one of the owners and the head coach, you know, there's guilt, like, you know, this is what they want me to do. This is what they had trusted me to do. And, you know, sometimes you carry that around and it gets to you. So,
Yeah.
but like you said, having, you know, a good family, good support system is key. It's key with a lot of things. I think everybody needs that.
Yeah. So while we're still on coaching, kind of moving from burnout to the things we enjoy about coaching, because you and I, we love coaching. I mean, this is what we're passionate about. I mean, there's a reason we're here all day.
Sure.
You know, slinging the cues. So, I guess what's, you know, your favorite thing about coaching, and then what's the long-term plan for you personally when it comes to, you know, coaching, the fitness industry in general, and then, I mean, not to make the question too long, but also, like, where do you see a lot of coaches needing to go in the future to be successful? Because sometimes I think we get blinded by passion and we don't quite see the long-term side of, you know, the financial side of things to make sure everybody's taken care of. So, you know,
I'll start with your first question. You know, what I love about coaching. What I love about coaching is just something that I think I've done well my whole life, is just being able to talk to people.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a good listener. And so really what I like, you know, besides, you know, helping people reach their fitness goals, whatever those may be, is just getting to know different people.
Yeah.
You know, they come in, you get to know a little bit about them if they want to talk about it. You start to develop this relationship instantly. It's really weird in this CrossFit community. Somebody comes in for the first time, there's like an instant connection.
Yeah.
You know, they do that first workout and you relate to them right away because you've done the same thing. You know, the physicality that goes into it, the mentality that goes into it. And so instantly you have that connection. And when you have a connection with somebody, you get that dialogue.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you know, you start to communicate with each other that way. And it's a really great question. And sometimes it's hard to answer. I think for me with coaching, it's just being around people that are like-minded.
Yeah.
You know, you and I are in the same business and we're passionate about, you know, health and wellness. And so when people come in and are wanting that from you, it's a blast. It's like, hey, here's somebody else that I can help out.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can use my experience to help them out.
I think that's a great way to put it, is that unique relationship between a coach and the athlete. And, you know, it's not like anything else, you know, and I've been in a lot of different kinds of relationships, whether it's friendships, you know, being on a sports team with teammates, military relationships where it's like rank based, you know, kind of force relationships. And this is very unique. You know, there's not many relationships like it. This, like, almost this instant trust, not quite instant, pretty close to instant trust that they put into you, where they really believe, and they should believe, that we have their best interest in mind, and we'll do anything to help them. And most coaches that I know are in a position to try and do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think when you get into this, you really need to know that when they come in through that door, it's about them.
Yes.
And so you have to put things aside and say, you know, what can I do to help them out?
Yeah.
So, and I think I forgot the second question.
So, second question, you personally, what's coaching look like in the future? What is Alan going to be doing in the next 5-10 years when it comes to coaching, fitness industry?
And that's a really tough question, because you know, in the beginning of this, I talked about I can't really. It's hard for me to see in the future.
Yeah.
So, but it's something I do think about. You know, right now, being, you know, in my mid-30s, I still have that fire. I still have the energy to show people everything they want to be shown. You know, and be that goofball at times. And then when you look to the future, it's like, well, when I'm in my 40s, when I'm in my 50s, you know, what would I look like? To be honest, I still feel like I'll be able to do this for a long time. The kind of level of energy that I give every day, where I see myself. Hopefully still doing what I'm doing, you know, maybe not being like the full-time coach there every day, maybe, you know, doing more on the personal training side to kind of alleviate that sometimes of doing classes.
Yeah.
So I really do hope and feel like this is something that I can continue to do.
Yeah. So you want to stay in the trenches working with
people. I do, you know, being that hands-on type of person that, you know, I kind of, if it's mine, it's mine.
Yeah.
You know, and let me have it for as long as I can.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I get it, man.
Yeah.
And, you know, does like knowing that you can progress in the knowledge of fitness, like it feels like it's never ending too. It feels like we're always learning something. Does that also kind of help with feeling like there's always a next step? There's always a next level to coaching. Does that kind of help with like, hey, 5 years from now, I'm not going to be burnt out, or because I'm going to still be learning. And then 5 years after that, I'm still going to be learning. Like,
That's
is that part of it?
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
In this industry too, as it's constantly evolving, with, new research, somebody else found something out, especially in the CrossFit world, they do a really good job of always, continuing education.
Yeah.
So what you can't do as a coach is just say, hey, I have my L1, that's good enough for me. If you're a head coach, if you're, the face of the business, you have to continue to educate yourself, because you're going to get new members in with whatever they got going on, whether it be health issues, past injuries. You've got to keep educating yourself to give them the best product that you can. And, once you feel like you know it all, you'll know nothing. So you just
that's a good
continue
quote.
to educate yourself.
Yeah, I think I heard that the other day, actually. That's a good quote.
I don't know where it came from. Sometimes I don't know. I just say things, but
I agree.
Yeah,
I think
it's you got to keep, recently I just got my level 2 certification over the summer. So that was like my next step. That was a goal of mine for continuing education. And there's plenty more out there.
Oh, yeah. Dude, have you seen the level 3 manual?
I seen that because I was excited. I got my level 2. I'm like, oh, yes, level 3 next. And then, I opened up the packet. And I'm like, I'll stick with this level 2 for a little bit. Maybe I'll learn a little bit more about this L2.
Looks like it has more pages than the Bible.
Yeah, and it's
big.
tough for me to sit down and read. If people who know me know that.
Yeah. Article a night, my man. Article a night. That's what I've been doing.
I'll try.
But I think that's good. I think that's good that you're constantly trying to push yourself. And like you said, I mean, if you aren't wanting to go to that next level, 3-4 years from now, you're going to feel pretty stale, and you're just going to kind of, slowly work yourself into a different job.
Too.
Yeah, because if you're not always trying to progress, how do you expect your clients or your athletes or your members to progress? Sure. Yeah. So that's kind of where you're planning on going then. Before we move on to like the bigger side, are you planning on like doing anything more on the business end of things, or like are you trying to get more business ownership or new locations or anything like that, or do you want to kind of just stay?
In terms of locations, I think we're still doing really well where we're at. It's been talked about, getting a bigger space or, things like that, but it would take a lot more from that. So where we're at now is fine. In terms for myself, really trying to maybe get outside of the group classes sometimes and do more personal training for people who want, more of a one-on-one. That way I can really give my full attention sometimes. So it's been something I've dabbled with this last year, doing some personal training. So
how is that with the personal training? Is there, because it's kind of challenging, especially, for CrossFit coaches that are used to group-led classes, it can be challenging to be like, oh, I got to, kind of go hustle a little bit, know, and it's kind of weird because to us people, in the CrossFit space, in the group-led model, people come to us. In the personal space, you kind of got to go get them in a way. How do you navigate that? What are some of the areas that you've kind of had to get over, maybe things that have held you back in the past from being successful there?
Yeah, with this here, I mean, people around me kind of know that I tell them, it's hard for me to get myself out there.
Yeah.
And it always sounds, oh, I'm just very humble. It's just really hard to say, hey, this is why you should come to me.
Yeah.
I do know I provide a great service and I'm good at what I do, but it's still just hard to tell that to people because sometimes there's an arrogance that goes with that.
Yeah.
But I think people who are seeking it, want that. They want someone that's confident and said, hey, this is what I can help you with, and let's go do that. So, over this last year, I've started my personal training business. It's called Move ICT. If you want to look more into it, it's on Facebook. Just Move ICT, and you can contact me that way and just sit down with you and go over some goals. But, yeah, too, when you go from a group setting to one person, it's fun sometimes because, when we're in a group setting, you have to kind of be – generic's kind of the wrong word, but just, have an overview of what you're doing.
Yeah. When
you're with just one person, you can really get detailed and say, this is what we're doing. This is the movement. This is what we could do. And spend, whatever time that is, usually like an hour, hour and a half of just going over, specifics that way. So,
yeah.
It's good. It's challenging too, to have both sides, a group class mentality and then a one-on-one mentality.
It is challenging because to really bring it in a one-on-one setting, I mean, to really do due diligence, you have to really look for those close errors. I mean, they're very small sometimes. It could be as subtle as somebody's foot, turning out slightly, like their big toe coming off the ground, or one elbow facing in slightly more than the other. And so like in a group model, like it's a lot more managerial where you have to meet timelines to get everybody ready, make sure everyone's in a safe environment. And obviously, yeah, you're making lots of cues and corrections, but if you miss one or two like little errors, not a big deal. You probably didn't have time to do that anyway. Sure. But in a one-on-one setting, you better be seeing those
Yeah,
airs
the one-
because, you know, people are paying